Alright, so I know y'all hate seeing the tier limit shit. I understand it. This deck should be banned, my boy. So I start off with Sheeran right here. Activate Happiness. My opponent's going to activate a Gito, which tells me he really don't got shit if he's shotgunning a Gito. Shuffle a couple cards back. I'm going to draw into Kit Kalos right here. Kit Kalos will grab me Scream. I put Scream onto the field. Activate Kit Kalos to swap for Merly. This will mill me 11 cards altogether. So 5 with the Kit Kalos, 3 with the Sheeran, or Merly I mean, and then the other 3 with the Scream. So a total of 11 milled cards. So we're doing some deep milling. We end up hitting a Nagito and a Kelbeck, so we're going to mill with both of those as well. So we are milling deep, deep, deep down into this deck. Shuffle a couple cards back, and then we go into Millennium Eyes Restrict. This card is going to give us so much value. And then we're going into our last and final meal, and of course my opponent has a Keldo, so he's going to activate his Keldo. I'm going to activate my Keldo, shuffle back all of my millers, so then that way on my opponent's turn I can mill even more. Summon my Rhino Heart, and then I activate Rainbow Bridge of Salvation so I can get access to the field spell. Alright, there we go. So we activate the field spell, grab Merly. Now we're going to start basically making the board pretty difficult to beat. So we put Sprite Elf out, then we're going to go into Abyss Dweller, especially since we know he is playing a deck that uses graveyard effects as well. Shuffle a few cards back so I can activate my field spell and pop the one level 4 that he does have so he doesn't get an easy Abyss Dweller. And then we're just going to end our turn. So let's look at what all we got so far. I know this doesn't look too menacing right now, but trust me, there's a lot going on right here. So we got Sprite Elf. Sprite Elf makes whatever underneath the arrows is untargetable, and I can bring back a level 2. What is the perfect level 2 to bring back? Of course, Merly. I don't believe I have Diviner in my graveyard. Yeah, I don't have Diviner, but Merly will do. I only got 15 cards left in my deck. That should get me to a fusion summon, especially since I'll be milling 6 cards total with the Merly plus the Scream. Also have Perloreno, so I can pop a card if I do need to at any time by just shuffling one of my Tearlaments back into the deck. Got a Monster Negate with Millennium Eyes Restrict, and this can avoid chain block scenarios. So if somebody chain blocks something, this can grab a card that is trying to be chain blocked, and you can negate it. So that's the best part about this particular card here. It doesn't have to hit whatever is, like, it can target a card in the middle of a chain basically. We got Scream to mill when tier limits hit the field. Exchange of Spirit, I would prefer this to be in my graveyard, but for whatever reason I drew it, so it's okay. Then we got Merly in hand plus Happiness. So the Happiness, basically I can interact with my opponent if they activate a monster effect on the field. So let's see what happens. So my opponent immediately goes into Black Dragon Collapse Serpent. I know how this card works. I'm not going to let him link summon with this and then get any kind of advantage. So the first thing I do, activate Merly, or bring back Merly with Sprite Elf, start milling, and he's already under Dweller. And plus I have Shufflers plus Fairy Tale Snow in my graveyard, so that is interaction there as well. So I set Gravekeeper's Trap from my graveyard. Go into Rukalos. This will be a special summon negate. Pop his Black Dragon Collapse Serpent right here. And then draw a card with that Shadal Beast. Draw into Maxi. He special summons his Wyver Burst or Chaos Dragon Levineer. Doesn't matter which effect he used. I don't really give a shit because I'm going to negate it. I didn't even check to see which effect he used. I literally just negated it. So that's the beauty of Millenniumizer Strict. And even if he had chain blocked this, I still would have been able to stop it. So it didn't matter. So he activates the Dragon's Ravine right here to send a monster. But it doesn't matter what he sends. If he sends Destrudo, doesn't matter. It can't activate because he's under Dweller. Then I'm going to use Fairy Tale Snow to flip this card face down after he just summoned it. He's going to activate the effect of it to pop something and then summon something. I can negate that with this card, sending it to the graveyard. He has no further plays. This would have been able to flip that card face down if I wanted to. And then I go into Kaleido Heart. Now, I could have 100% spent this card back into his deck, 100% leaving him with absolutely nothing before he ends his turn. But the reason I didn't do that is because my timer was extremely low. I only had like 15 seconds. I didn't want to risk it. Just in case he did have any other plays, which I know he doesn't. I mean, no cards in hand. He can't use his graveyard effects, but in case he had some kind of banish effect or something, I was just being cautious. So I just ended my turn. So I'll go ahead and flip Gravekeeper's Trap. Of course, he is under Dweller plus Gravekeeper's Trap, meaning he's not summoning anything from his graveyard, activating any effects in his graveyard because he's under both Gravekeeper's Trap plus Dweller with Exchange of Spirit in my graveyard. So he's pretty much screwed there as far as activating anything here. He cannot. Of course, this card doesn't do anything for him. I got Rulkalos, so no special summons. Of course, Sprite Elf, which can't revive anything because all the zones are full anyways. Kaleido Heart, Fairy Tale Snow, plus Millenniumizer Strict. So even if he did have a monster effect that he could activate, I can negate it with this. Plus it's at 3,500 attack at this point. Gravekeeper's Trap, holding his 11-year hostage here. Then we also got Scream plus Perloreno. I could spend some shit back to pop this card, but what's the point? I might as well just attack for a game, letting his 11-year be the last piece of the puzzle to kill him. GG's, my boy. This deck is the best. This deck is like insane too. Like, GG's, my boy.